All right, so about 4 or 5 weeks ago or so, I was taken off to Tampa, Florida to go deliver a 1960 Gibson Les Paul. So kind of a big trip, get a call out of the blue right before I leave from this gentleman, Jeremy, who was clearing out his grandpa's estate. They had been going through it and they rediscovered this guitar that he, remembers when he was a kid, and it was just electric guitar, that they'd kind of strum on as kids. He'd done a ton of research, so he was pretty informed, but he was assuming that it was an original black custom color 54, and talked to a couple folks, no one had the right answer, kind of give him the runaround, and he'd stumbled across some videos of ours and decided to call us all the way out in Seattle. I love 54 Strats. It's the first year of the Stratocaster. I've had a dozen or so, sold a bunch of them, and I just always love them. They're just rough around the edges in a beautiful way. So it immediately piqued my interest, and we started talking and kind of hit it off. We chatted for 20 minutes or so, and he had some photos, of this laying out in grandma's bed and whatnot. So I knew it was real. I knew that it was kind of straight from the closet, right? So we had agreed to meet up, but the problem was I was taken off in 2 days. Then I'd come home, then I was gone for 8 days, then Guitar V, then Ken and I were going to Houston. It was just this mess, and he actually agreed to hold on to this thing for me for about a month and a half or so, but I could not stop thinking about this. I did not want it to go. From what I had talked to Jeremy about, the pictures I had seen, I knew it was something cool and special. Was it a custom color? I doubted it, but you never know. So long story short, I just said, I gotta get this thing. So I booked a flight from Tampa to West Virginia. So I land in West Virginia, first time there, and I'm in this little town, and Jeremy and his father show up, in the truck, all the hunting gear in the back, and out of this truck they pull out this case, which is the classic center pocket case. That was a great sign. The fact that, all the latches on this, the handle's still intact. I mean, the tweed, it's just, to me, it's so beautiful, and I knew exactly what this was. So that was a good start. So then we cracked the case, and immediately I could see the soft contours on this 54 neck. I've held a ton of them. I know what to expect, and it felt right. Also could tell right off the bat that it was oversprayed. You can kind of see a little bit more of this almost like orangish tint to it. Pulled the guard off, all that stuff in the hotel lobby. They were cool enough to bring a little toolkit. I couldn't fly with that on these little planes. So first off, obvious that it's a refin. It's an old refin though. The nail holes were filled with paint, which was the dead giveaway, but it was cool. It sunk into the finish. You can see the grain still kind of popping out and how it's dug into that wood, which I love to see. When I discovered the guitar, it had a 3-ply guard on it, and it had a couple changed pots, but the guitar itself was really lightweight, and it played well. It had ancient strings on it, but it still played really well. Original tuners. All the pickups worked. They sounded a little weak. I brought a little like smoky amp to test these out with, and everything was working. This pickup wasn't connected, but I took the shot at that point. So it had a couple things change, and essentially the story was the original owner, again, Jeremy was there with his dad, so his dad's dad. He saw the black finishes coming out, 3-ply guard, decided at some point to kind of get it updated, if you will. So everything that was done one time. It was out in West Virginia, somebody found a little guitar shop or sourced the parts and kind of just did a little update on what Fender offered at that time versus in 1954 when this was brand new and your kind of standard sunburst finish. When I opened this case, as you can see, first off, it's just glorious. I love the old interior in these, they just shine, but I couldn't believe all the little trinkets in here. I mean, that's real, It's been in the case for so long, and it looked like, maybe he experimented with some knobs, random car parts, a couple old Fender straps, the original cable, old cloth, most likely original, some ancient finger picks. I love this stuff. It kind of brings you back to where this is from, and the smell, it's so good. So I knew it wasn't perfect, but it was absolutely real and had all the mojo. The 54 Strats have gotten so expensive over the years. As many of you know, the vintage guitar market's crazy, and I do not see it softening anytime soon. So for me to see a 54 Strat that doesn't belong in a museum is really cool. It gives somebody an opportunity to have a first-year Stratocaster, which who else can say they have that? and it doesn't need to be behind glass. It's also a really early one. It was built in July, signed off by Tadio Gomez, so TG 754. When I got it back, I had Tyler put a proper single ply guard on it, which to me really changed everything. These pickups made sound, but again, if it was totally perfect, I might hesitate on doing anything, but this is like a player's 54. So I had Tyler do a rewind on the neck and the bridge pickup. Middle pickup was disconnected, but was great. So we kept that as is. I haven't had one like this before. The ones we've had are oftentimes like museum quality, right? This one, man, it's a hillbilly 54. It's so cool. So anyways, this is the West Virginia 54 Strat. I'm gonna hand it over to Aaron Hiebert, and he's gonna make some sound out of this thing and get to the part that most of you wanna hear.
Bye.